Hey everyone, Dr. Zio here again, and it's finally time. Today, we are finally here to talk about Power Rangers Dino Fury Season 2, Episode 1, Numero Uno. And you know what? I like this episode. It was good. It was good. It was a good episode and did well to establish the tone going forward into Season 2 or into the rest of Season 2. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the episode. As always, we'll do our summary, then our likes, dislike, and then we'll go ahead and go into conclusion. And then, question of the week. I didn't really have any questions of the week this time around. It's more so that the everything that was brought up in this episode just kind of reaffirmed points that I had from previous questions, during season 1. So no question of the week this week. Maybe next time though. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about numero uno. So the episode opens up with a Sporix beast attacking Pine Ridge. We don't get a name for the Sporix beast. The Sporix beast is barely there. It's not even the name isn't even in the credits, which I kind of don't like. I would like that person to get credit for their work. Plus, it makes this review a lot. It would make the review easier to be able to talk about who this beast was. But in that attack, we see the Rangers are very much more coordinated than they were last season. This was a very, very nice looking fight. Zato is running on a rooftop, which looked amazing. Absolutely love that sequence. But he's running on a rooftop, jumps off to attack the monster, and then the other Rangers come barreling out of windows in the building next to them to attack the monster as well. One thing leads to another. They end up destroying the monster, and then Amelia, who was not present during this fight, pops up. Turns out that Jane and Jayborg are off doing some sort of documentary, and so they're in a hot air balloon traveling the world together. And while they're doing that, Amelia is the one who's in charge of Buzz Blast, which I did not expect that. I had not actually thought about Amelia being, Amelia's endgame, so to speak, as being the person who's going to be in charge of Buzz Blast after Jane decides to do whatever and leave. I always thought that would be Jayborg for some reason, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. But after this scene, the Rangers, Ion, was it Ollie, and Sol are back at the base, and they're trying to figure out where REFCON is. They have this galactic map pulled up, or maybe like a universal map, and they're looking at it, trying to figure out where REFCON would be now, because it's been 65 million years, and the universe has changed. Planets have died, planets have come, new planets have formed, and all that kind of stuff. So pinpointing the exact location of REFCON 65 million years later is going to be a bit of a difficult task, which again is something I had not thought about before. I don't know the exact science behind it, or if this is even an actual thing. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I don't know if it's all that sciencey. And then afterwards, we go back to the base back at Area 62 to see Slither and Mucus are trying to break into Void Knight's secret room that's holding Santura, and they can't get in. But before they can, go into that any further, they get a message on one of their monitors, and it's our good friend Void Knight giving them commands and telling them that they need to get something from the Rangers. And we're like, well, where did Void Knight come from? And to kind of not really to even answer this question, but to reaffirm the fact that Void Knight is back, a Sporix beast pops out of the monitor as well. That Sporix beast's name is Bitscream. He's a monster who can teleport into technological devices, and he was actually pretty interesting. I loved his voice. Loved his voice. Basically, Bitscream reaffirms that Void Knight is indeed back. I assumed that Bitscream was hanging out in the background and Void Knight had him there as a just in case, or maybe he went to go find him off screen. But anyway, Bitscream, Slither, and Mucus come up with a plan. They enact said plan in the middle of Pine Ridge, and basically it leads to Javi getting what's called a Dino. Or was it? I think it's a Fix-It key stolen, because during the battle between the Rangers and Bitscream, they end up destroying this guy's flower cart. So then the guy's understandably distraught because this is his livelihood. It keeps his house hot. God, if you haven't watched I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, go ahead and do that. Pause this video, go watch I Think You Should Leave, and then come back and, and watch the rest of this review. But for the rest of us who have watched, let's continue. So, lo and behold, the guy who, the cart guy turns out to be Slider in disguise. Again, this man has good plans. I said that last season. It's no different this season. Like, Slider continues to be a great asset to the team. But yeah, so Javi ends up getting his key stolen. So then they all go back to the base and they're trying to figure out, okay, why did they steal that key specifically? What's so special about that? They can't really use it because we have Void Knight's Chroma Fury Saber, which it was nice getting confirmation that their sabers are called Chroma Fury Sabers. Sabers. We've had the toy around. I think the toy's coming out this fall. If not, if it's already out, I'll include it in the notes here. But it's nice to be sure that that the toy line is in sync with the show, because we haven't really gotten anyone telling us what the name of the sword was on the show yet. It's also nice to get confirmation that Void Knight is also using a Chroma Fury Saber, which tells us that yes, he is using some Ranger technology, but we don't know the specifics of how that is. But anyway, so they're all like, well, maybe there's something else going on here. So they review the camera footage from that fight, and they find out that after they left, Mucus, Slider, and Bitscream are all talking to a tablet and bowing to it. One thing leads to another. They end up coming to the conclusion that Void Knight is back. So while they're talking, Bitscream is actually peeping in on them through the laptop that they're using to review this footage. Izzy catches on to this, and then she ends up coming up with a fake plan to blow up the Void Knight's Chroma Fury Saber in the middle of Dino Henge. So they close the laptop and go ahead and enact said plan, which this plan, we will get to this plan in the dislike section here in just a second. Basically, the plan goes awry. Amelia gets distracted when she's supposed to be keeping an eye on the saber, and then that gets stolen. Then Zato calls his the T-Rex Cosmic Megazord, so he can go and deal with Bitscream, who's still chilling in a laptop. So he goes to destroy Bitscream. After that, After that, we go back to Area 62. Void Knight is there in his civilian outfit, which I like. He has some medals on his chest as well, which kind of lead us to believe that he is some sort of general, or I guess he might actually be a knight, and he gets some sort of, he gets medals for being a knight. But wherever he's from, he is a person of, he is a veteran, so to speak, and he has some sort of status in whatever organization he's a part of. So he ends up using the Fix-It key and the Chroma Fury Saber to fix his armor, which is kind of just sitting off, all broken and whatnot. And that was interesting. I did not expect his armor to be just kind of sitting there like that. From my perspective, I'm kind of assuming that it confirms that he isn't a ranger himself, or he's not an evil ranger, so to speak, but just using a Chroma Fury Saber to kind of augment his own abilities that he gets through this through the armor. But again, we'll see what happens later on this season if they really answer what is going on with this man, his powers and whatnot. But after that, he teleports over to where Bitscream was just destroyed and ends up grabbing Bitscream's sporks, teleporting out. Rangers are all bummed out. They go back to Buzz Blast. Amelia decides that, hey, I can't juggle being both a ranger and my ranger duties, especially now that Void Knight's back, as well as leading the charge here at Buzz Blast. And so she hands the mantle back to Jane, who just popped up again because their trip didn't go as planned. They ended up they ended up falling into a volcano, so they had to come home early. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what I liked about this episode. First things first, that intro fight. No, I guess not necessarily intro fight itself, but just that sequence of Zato running along the top of that building was beautiful. Definitely one of my favorite scenes in Power Rangers history, period. Like, one of the best stunts I've seen from this franchise. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And that kind of helps segue into my second point, the cinematography. For whatever reason, the cinematography in this episode was beautiful. I think it's because maybe they used some different lighting techniques, and maybe like they had different camera angles in the base as well as at Dino Henge, and it gave those scenes a fresh feel to them. We've been in this environment for 22 episodes, so just little changes here and there can breathe new life into place that we've seen for a long time, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot because I want to see more of these nice little angles and these lighting techniques from these locations. Simon Bennett on Ranger Board, or Simon Bennett, the executive producer of this season, did confirm on Ranger Board that like the episode didn't look special because they had increased budget or they're using different equipment. Everything's still going from season 1 to season 2. The equipment, the budget, that's all the same. So yeah, it leads me to believe that this is the difference is because of lighting techniques and them using different camera angles to kind of spice things up. And then my last like for this episode was Void Knight and just his presence. Like his presence was definitely felt. It was definitely menacing and assertive, and I loved it. Being able to see him in his civilian costume. I dug the look. I dug it a lot. It kind of had like a futuristic kind of cyberpunky look to it, otherworldly for sure, which leads me to believe that maybe he's not Amelia's father. We still don't know who exactly this man is, but yeah, I love his civilian outfit. I love the fact that it showed him using the Chroma Fury saber just like the other Rangers would do when they're in battle. I also like the fact that they confirmed that he is using one of their own. He is using a saber that's identical to theirs, except obviously a different color and everything. It's nice that somebody actually said that fact out loud. I also liked his entrance back at Dino Henge because when he teleports in to grab the Sporks, he holds his sword behind him with the Rangers to his back. He just grabs the Sporks and he's like, "Nope, not today, Rangers." And it's so swift. It's so casual and threatening. And it's like he knows that he is in complete control of that situation. Not just because he surprised the Rangers, but because he's a powerful figure. The Rangers have not yet been able to touch this man in season 1, and I think that's going to continue in season 2 unless they get some sort of power up that lets them go toe to toe with Void Knight. And I cannot wait to see Void Knight fight the Rangers more, going further into this season. There was also a library joke between Ion and Ion and Ollie. Ollie suggests that they go to a library to look into astrological patterns to kind of see how the universe would have changed between 65 million years ago and today, to kind of help with to aid with the search for Ravcon. And Ion said something to the effect of, "I don't know about this library. He seems kind of sketchy." Or sorry, he seems kind of shifty. And I'm like, bruh, it's a good Zetoism from Ion, and it's just so corny and just perfect, and I absolutely loved it. And so for my dislikes, I really only have 2 dislikes for this episode. One is that they used Void Knight's real Chroma Fury saber in their plan. Like, I don't understand why you would do that. Why wouldn't you build a duplicate saber so that in the event that the plan goes south, which it did in this episode, you don't end up looking like an idiot and get the real one stolen? Like, that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It just seemed like very short-sighted. But the other thing that I didn't like about this episode, and it's a minor gripe, just very, very minor, is that Jane and Jayborg end up coming back in this episode, and Amelia ends up passing leadership back onto Jane. Like, I enjoy that status quo, especially with this being a season 2. It would have been a nice little shakeup having Amelia now being the boss at Buzz Blast and having to balance, or having to learn how to balance, her Ranger responsibilities versus her responsibilities at Buzz Blast. Like, that could have been a nice bit of character growth for Amelia throughout the season, if not just a few episodes from season 2, because eventually, Jane and Jayborg would have to come back because they have to play into the plot somehow. And I understand that my scenario would have had Jane and Jayborg off screen for quite a bit, or at least away from the Rangers for quite a bit, which kind of makes me hope that they do get involved in Ranger shenanigans more often, because I kind of feel like they don't really do too much. I appreciate when they're around, when they're doing when they're adding to the comedic elements. I actually like these two, But yeah, I do feel like they're somewhat underutilized. But yeah, as for my conclusion, yeah, it was a good episode. You know, it was funny. The cinematography was on point, and I hope to see more of this in future episodes. Seeing Void Knight back was great. Getting confirmation that he is using a Chroma Fury Saber was also nice as well. And, you know, there was, you know, a little bit of character growth from Emilia. So, yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. As always, let me know what y'all thought about the episode in the comment section below. Again, episodes 1 through 11 are currently available on Netflix in the US, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. So go check them out if you want to. Again, I will have my reviews up day by day until we're through with all 11 episodes. So keep your eye on my channel, comment, subscribe, like the videos, because all that does help me when I'm making my future videos and help for visibility's sake. But otherwise, as always, thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching, and I cannot wait to continue on with this journey through season 2. Like, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for this season of Power Rangers. But anyway, mask up, get your booster shot, still stay safe, and all that good stuff. And thank you again for watching, and until next time, peace.